Miu asks if he'd like to collaborate with her and emphasizes that he won't lose anything by doing so. Before answering, the student reflects that he feels like he's getting himself into trouble. In the end, he agrees, and Miu comments that his answer was too casual. The young man tells her that if she wanted to betray him, she would have done it already. Even so, he adds that a verbal promise can be broken at any time. But for now, he'll believe her. Miu replies that he's too dry and too modern. She explains that forming a tag team in pro wrestling is the same as saying they are one and the same. She also adds that betrayal is part of the show in that sport, something the young man doesn't fully understand and questions her about. Anyway, he proposes that they fight together for now. The girl happily accepts and asks what the team will be called. Akita answers that he's not going to decide that. He also comments that it's amazing she's a professional wrestler while still in high school, and Mayu thanks him for saying nice things. She then reveals that she's actually 33 years old, and in her prime. She claims she can still pass as a high school student. The young man wonders if she entered the school without permission. She jokes about debuting as a student wrestler, but Akita tells her she should drop that idea. Miu clarifies that she was only joking. At that moment, a man walks in, greets them, and says they seem to be talking about something fun. He asks to join, and introduces himself as Tapi, ranked 75th in the No Rules event. Akita gets ready to fight, but Miu says she didn't know others were also targeting him. She makes one thing clear, she won't team up with Tape. He laughs and says he worked hard to get a uniform and sneak into the school, so he's not leaving without a fight. The student is ready to battle, but Miu stops him. She says it's better to lay the cards on the table. She explains that she's already seen what he can do, but he hasn't seen her in action yet. She says she can fight on her own, and asks him to watch from the sidelines. Tape mocks her, and asks if she's serious, if she's really a professional wrestler. She confirms it and asks what the problem is. The man claims that pro wrestlers are weak and that everything is staged for show. He adds that MMA fighters often fake their losses, and that since she's a woman, she's already weak, and has only been lucky in her wins. Smiling, Miu tells him not to hit where it hurts. She explains that she competes to stand out and doesn't want to get injured, so she's going to forfeit. She walks past him and says she's heading home, telling them to keep trying their best. Tape follows her and demands that if she's going to forfeit, she should do it properly on the clock. At that instant, she grabs him by the neck and applies a pro wrestling hold. The man manages to break free and doubts it would work. But Miu grabs his face and explains that although pro wrestling has unrealistic moves, there's one thing you should never do. Underestimate her. She slams his head against the wall. Akita is stunned, and Miu clarifies that pro wrestling is about demonstrating strength. She says she'll show him hers now. She performs another move, a Northern Lights suplex, and knocks the man out. Miu starts laughing. After the demonstration, Akita comments that she was shouting the names of the techniques and asks if that's also part of pro wrestling. The girl says of course it is. She adds that since there's no commentator, she has to say them herself. The young man says it's not necessary, though it's fine. Miu asks if he understands her ability better now. She holds out her hand and proposes that from now on they be friends and get along. The young man shakes her hand and wonders to himself what she'll say about that. At that moment, Rikudu sees the scene, calls out to him, and asks who that woman is, and what it means that they're partners now. The boy is left speechless, and Miu asks who she is. Rikudu, staring fixedly at Akita, asks who that woman is and what she means by saying they are now companions. The student is left speechless and reflects that the atmosphere feels heavy. Miu takes a closer look at her and quickly asks if she is the violent girl, saying she can't believe she is finally meeting her. Rikudu looks puzzled and questions that, and Miu replies that she has gone viral and is trending on the internet. She explains that there is a rumor going around that the virgin student, Akita Masamichi, has a teacher with a sailor uniform and black hair, that she is a woman who is an expert in violence and, according to people, has forced semi-delinquents to shut down their businesses. They also say she defeated the mixed martial arts fighter Fuwa Subaru, though Miu wonders if that might be exaggerated. However, the student ignores her and walks past Miyu. Standing before Akita, she demands to know what his intentions are. The young man grows even more confused and asks what she means. His companion then tells him she will explain the rules of the world again. She claims that once violence is in her hands, she cannot avoid using it. Also, he cannot avoid establishing a hierarchy, since only the weak gather together. Therefore, he must say which side he is on. At that moment, Miyu hugs her and says that sounded cool, and gave her the feeling she was about to blush. Rikudo immediately reacts and attacks Miyu, but she manages to block the blow. She takes some distance and says that hurt, admitting she truly lives up to the reputation of the ultra-violent girl. Akita thinks she endured a surprise attack. The woman, while observing her opponent, says she thought she had broken one of her bones. Then Rikudo asks if she is a professional wrestler. Her rival introduces herself as Miyu and says she is pleased to meet her. The student lunges forward to attack while saying she finds her interesting. But right away, Miyu asks her to wait a moment. Rikudo ignores her and strikes her opponent, who complains because she had asked for time. After that brief exchange, Miyu asks if she is aware that sooner or later she will have to fight Akita. The young man looks stunned and asks if she is serious. The girl says yes, because the one ranked number 1 stands out the most. The boy answers that he is not trying to be number 1, and Miyu states that for now they will call a truce. She tells him not to worry, because when the time comes, she will turn into a villain, blow this place into the air, and when that happens, she will bury her too. Rikudo watches her carefully and then says that is a relief, accepting the deal. This makes the young man wonder whether the two of them couldn't settle it just between themselves. Meanwhile, in another place, a fight is taking place. The bigger man ends up winning. He gives thanks for the match, introducing himself as the number 2 ranked fighter of the No Rules event, Kyoku Zanzan. He reflects that this was just another amateur. He says that even if he is a civilian now, he cannot help feeling a little guilty. Even so, he is doing all this to open his own Chenko restaurant and hopes his next match will be against a true martial artist. Someone comments that this outcome was expected from a former sumo wrestler retired from the Makushita division, adding that an average street fighter wouldn't stand a chance against him. Zanzan, upon hearing this, asks if it's a middle school student this time, and questions why he is wearing a mask. He also apologizes and says he doesn't want to fight now, asking if he could go look for someone else to battle. But the young man says no and asks him not to say that. At that moment, another boy appears. This makes Zanzan ask if they think they can win just because they are 2, and he tells them not to underestimate a sumo wrestler. But the masked one warns him that he is going to lose. Then more people start arriving, greatly increasing the number of opponents. After that, Zanzan is on the ground, and the masked fighter states that individual strength, no matter how much it is mastered, will never be profitable, at least compared to the strength of many.